Welcome, folks. Today's topic is going to be prime cards. I see a lot of questions about these on various forums, a little bit of misunderstanding, and some overvaluing. So I want to cover a wide range of topics, starting from the very basics about them, and then getting into some nitty-gritty details about the numbers and predicting their value and evaluating them against other prime cards. So, to start us off, I will make a quick mention that when we're talking about primes, we're going to see them landing in anywhere from a silver to a gold to, so you can see I've got a bunch of silvers here, to gold primes and possibly up to diamonds. Now, the point about this is there are no normal primes and there are no bronze primes. And that comes into effect when we start thinking about how am I going to get a prime. No. So as documented within the playbook, they specify that you can get these things in any type of pack that would yield a silver or greater, with the exception of intermediate packs. Intermediate packs can get you a silver, but you're not going to see them. So you would get them through any type of activity that's going to get you. So opening a pack will get you these, or more importantly, since they come in silvers, that means any combo that results in a silver card will also potentially land you a prime. Now, I call that to light because of these large number of primes you can see that I've managed to collect, a significant portion of these have come from making combos that resulted in silvers. You'll notice I have significantly less gold ones. In fact, I think three of the gold ones here that I have, no, yeah, three of the gold ones here I have are actually grade increased, so I've only actually gotten three batters that were primes out of from other means. So the majority of what I've gotten are silvers. So when it comes to me making combos, I always try and make combos that are going to give me the greatest likelihood of landing a silver, because I will have a chance of getting a prime out of that. So that's my primary avenue for getting primes. The other way is through buying of prem packs, and since I'm trying to cut down on spending in this game, I'm not pursuing that avenue anymore. But that said, I have gotten a fair number of primes from prem packs as well. In fact, I was lucky enough to draw. Have I gotten a diamond? No, I got a gold. But nonetheless, point being, you can get these out of combos. You can get these out of packs. As far as getting gold and diamond ones, just like a normal card, any means that you're going to get a gold or diamond is going to land you a chance of getting a prime. The difference being, once you're talking that level, then you have to pick them out of a shuffle. And we all know how difficult that is. Okay, moving on from how to get them. The other point to note about these things is that, and this is fairly well known, but I'll just drive this point home, they will never drop below a normal condition. So you can see that I have cards in here, such as my Frazier, who is down arrow condition. You will never see a prime in that condition. And that's a pretty nice benefit, although not an overwhelming one. That's not going to cause me to bump a really good player out of my lineup. And so let's jump into the playbook and jump into where they document prime cards. And what I want to point out here are the two benefits that they mention. We've already talked about the second benefit there in blue, but the first benefit in red. Grade increase will always be 5 higher than basic cards, and it always increase at the maximum amount. So players who are newer to this game might not understand what that means, so let's dive into that. So what we're going to do is, first we need a little bit of background about grade increases. And I'm going to go into this, and for people who've already watched my other videos, this will already be old hat to them. But nonetheless, as you can see here, we have a table that lists out the various grade ranges that you're going to see for your various cards. You can see that bronze cards have a grade increase of 10 to 15. Etc., etc. So what exactly is that grade increase? Those are the numbers or additional points that you get on your scores when you have a card of that level. So that means a bronze card has 10 to 15 more points on his scores than the normal card does. And you'll also notice if we translate this into actual effect on OVR, we can see that a bronze card is always going to give you 2 to 3 points of OVR over the base card, and a silver card is going to give you 4 to 6, a gold card is going to give you 6 to 10, and a diamond is going to be 10 to 15 points of OVR higher than the base card. Now, this becomes important because we want to compare that to what we saw the statement of the grade increase benefit, meaning once again, rereading. The grade increase will always be 5 higher than basic cards and always increase at the maximum amount. So a silver, you can see for a normal card, is going to have a grade increase rating of 20 to 30. This means that a prime will always have the maximum, which is 30, plus an additional 5, which is 35 points of grade increase. A silver prime card will always have a grade increase of 35, which means he has 35 more points on his scores than a normal card. If you take that 35 and you divide that by 5, you get 7. That means a prime silver card will always be 7 OVR higher than the base card. Knowing this, and knowing that it's always going to be maximum, we can predict exactly what a prime card is going to look like at silver, gold, or diamond level. And it also makes it very easy to determine from a prime card what the base card OVR is so that we can compare it against other cards, and we'll do that a little bit later. But looking at this next table, what we can see here is that if I landed a silver prime card, you can see that it lists the grade increase at 35. And what in the right column, what I've done is I said, okay, if I take the silver card and I subtract 7 OVR from it, that's going to tell me what the base card is. Now, if I take that base card OVR, and I can now start setting it side by side with other players, and we can compare them to see whether or not this prime actually is any good. On top of that, from the silver, I can always tell exactly what the diamond is going to look like or the gold is going to look like. So from this table, if I wanted to see, okay, if this silver were increased to a gold, how many additional OVR points would he get? Well, he would get 4 additional OVR points. Why? Because a gold card has a grade increase of 55, guaranteed, which is 20 additional points higher than the silver card. That 20 additional points divided by 5 is 4 additional OVR to the card. Similarly, when we take a look at the diamond, a diamond will have 5 additional OVR over the gold, because 25 additional grade increase points divided by 5 is 5 additional OVR. And if you wanted to jump the whole thing, if you have a silver and you want to know what he's going to look like as a diamond, you simply add 9 to these OVR. And that's what his diamond card is going to look like. So the nice thing about primes is because they're guaranteed always to have the maximum grade increase, it makes it very easy to predict and evaluate the prime card. Okay, so now that we know exactly how to take a look at a prime card, let's take let me actually show you this in effect. So if we take a look at some of my batters here, you'll notice that I have collected an Aaron Hill as a gold, but I also happen to have him as a silver, And oops, let me highlight that. So he's an 82 as a gold, right? And as a silver, he's a 78. And we just stated that a gold is always going to be 4 OVR higher than the silver. And we can actually see that in effect. We'll compare these guys, and we can see, you can't see the OVR here, that's why I pointed out in the previous screen, but nonetheless, you can see exactly what his OVR is going to be. What I can't tell you, and you'll never be able to do, is you can't predict exactly how his scores are going to increase unless you've already seen one. So I could write down and I could track that he's got 11 additional points on contact and eye and 13 on power, etc., etc. And proportionately, if you were to take him to a diamond, we would see those things increase at relatively the same amount. I'll take this opportunity to point out something I haven't in my other videos, is that the player cards, when they get their grade increase numbers, seem to follow up kind of a profile. Actually, I have mentioned this before, but nonetheless, I'll reiterate. Some players are going to be more focused on their fielding abilities. Some are going to be more focused on their base running and the fact that they're speed demons. Other ones are going to be pure power hitters. And some are going to be generalist cards that kind of increase all their scores at a relatively similar amount. And what we have here with Aaron Hill is he's kind of a generalist, with this little bit of focus on his power, but in general, his hitting scores are increasing at a kind of an commiserate amount as they go up. I don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's get back to the prime card. So you can see that we stated that we can predict exactly what the prime is going to look like when we take it from silver to gold, and I've just shown you that. Now let's actually do a little bit deeper look at some of our players here and take a look at a Pujols here, or Pujols, whatever, if you're going to get picky about the pronunciation. I'm not going to try and use my Spanish accent here, but nonetheless. Let's take a look at him. You'll notice I actually have another one of him at diamond. So I've stated we have a very good idea of actually how to predict these things. Let's walk through some math. So taking a silver up to a diamond level prime, I would add 9 to him. So that would bring Pujols here up to an 88, right? Now, if I take, that's an 88 as level 1 as a diamond. If I take that 88 and I add 11 points for taking up to level 20, he then becomes a 99. And then once I put him actually onto my team, he's going to get, in this case, an additional 5 points. Now, that comes to 104, where there's a little bit of discrepancy here because in the math, because when you level him to 57, he actually gets a little bit more than 11 points. And it looks like Pujols here was right on the threshold, and those few points were enough to push him over to a 105. So once again, when you're using that method of for adding and determining how much he's going to get through leveling, that one's an approximation. The prime estimate is exact, but the getting 11, he gets actually 11.4 points, I believe, at level 20, and so that becomes an approximation. Nonetheless, you can predict what your cards are going to look like based on this. So, last thing. Now, so backing up once again, if we take a silver card and we want to start comparing it to other cards that you have, we can very easily back it down to what its base card's going to be by subtracting 7 OVR from it, and we can start seeing how these primes stack up. Well, when you compare them against each other, it's pretty obvious. Some cards have higher OVRs as primes than the other, just out of the gate. But when we want to compare them to other cards, we need to know how to compare them as base cards. So if I took Upton here, who's currently a grade 73 at level 1 as a silver, and I subtract 7 points from him, he's going to become a grade 66 base card. And if I scroll over to the right here, I can see I have several cards that are higher then OVR 66 as normal. So basically what I'm telling you is that Upton prime is garbage. Can see, let's see, Dozier in down condition is almost as good as that. We have some other players, some of which I don't even recognize, that are already better than that. And take a look at this McCann card here. Subtract 7 from him as well. We're also talking 66. Did I do my math correctly? Yep, 66 on McCann. That's a garbage prime. Taking a look at Zimmerman, he drops down to a 69. He's better, but once again, look at this. I got Iglesias here, who is also a 69, and he's not a prime. Now, granted, Zimmerman, once he upgrades, he's going to get those 5 additional OVR points, which, by the way, I forgot to mention, 5 OVR points essentially equates to 1, or 5 additional points equates to 1 OVR, because you divide that by 5 because split across 5 abilities, and he gains 1 OVR over a normal card. Bautista here drops down to a 70, and I don't think I have any to show you here in normal cards, but that's not great either. But when we start to talk about Pujols here again, he's a 72, and as far as batters go, that starts to get quite excellent. I can't compare Ruiz or Ethier because I've already leveled them up. Let's flip over to pitchers, do the same type of thing. I take a look at, let's see, I've got an Arroyo here. Subtract 7 off of him, and a 16 Porcello is better than him. This Weaver is with same base card value. Garza here. David Price is already better than him. He's got 3 points on him. Now, okay, so this is a good example. I told you that +1 that he gets is equivalent to 1 OVR. And if I compare that to Arroyo here, that means that Price, once he's maxed out, assuming he got a max grade increase, would still be 2 OVR higher than Arroyo. Actually, I need to show you the other screen to see. So Arroyo would have 77. He'd get a bonus of 1 OVR. It's like 78. And we subtract 7 from that, and he becomes a 71. And Price is a 73. He's got 2 OVR on him right there. So, point being, a prime does not necessarily mean that he is automatically better than all the other cards. There are primes that are inferior. Let's take a look at my relievers here. I've up at diamond level. I don't have one to show you here, but Neftali Feliz here is OVR 100, and from the data that I've collected, if I were to land a 2015 Betances, he would max out at 104 OVR. If I had a 2016 Andrew Miller, he's going to be a 103 OVR. That's better than that prime right there. Once again, those normal cards, that would assume that they got the absolute maximum grade increase. But even if I took a look at Betances there, and I took him up to a diamond, he maxes out at 104. And if I got the worst grade increase on him, he'd be 3 points lower than that. He'd be 101. He's still better than Neftali Feliz here. So more examples of how primes are not necessarily going to be better. So with that, that brings me to all the stuff that I wanted to cover. I'm going to make a similar video about SIG cards at some point when I have the time, and I'll pull some of this data about primes into that so we can compare primes against SIGs, or signature cards. So it's good that you've watched this, and hopefully you'll tune in for my next video. Please do, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up. It helps with search ranking, and subscribe is also equally as good in helping with the search ranking. And thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you next time.